All right, folks, we are live. This is Yankees Unloaded. I'm Jake Ellenbogen. The ticker's off. Can't get everything right, apparently. But
it's all good.
That's how you know. We're just, always authentic for better or for worse. But Gary, speaking of always authentic for better or for worse, the Yankees. They're always authentic. They're either going to authentically be good, authentically be bad, or authentically keep you reeled into the final at-bat with a one-run game and authentically blow it. But today, they did not do that. So what a win today. I thought this was really impressive. I just told you off air, this is not a fun ballpark to watch. If you enjoy watching, slugging percentage go up and, a guy hitting a home run, that's a home run 17 out of 30 ballparks, not get robbed. If you enjoy that, you don't want to watch your team play at Safeco.
Yeah, it was a nice catch, though. I'll give him that.
I can't stand
and
that,
I had to text you right away because I knew you were out of the house at that point.
Yeah.
And by the way, guys, if you're new here, please make sure you guys subscribe and like the video. Helps us out a ton. I promise you we're a lot more fun than Yankees series against the Mariners. You just have to know when you come into a series like this, your team's not going to score. The pitching's probably better than what you're giving it credit for. And we saw that, right? Wu was great.
Absolutely.
Castillo was great. I thought Castillo missed location from time to time in this start. We didn't make him pay at all. There were just times offensively, defensively that we just, and I want to get to Will Warren here pretty quickly. So my takeaway was that the Yankees just weren't executing. And at some point or another, you're just going to have to say, yeah, our big guy, number 99, is going to have to carry us. He's going to have to get the big hit. He did that today. So people can say what they will about what he does in the clutch. He pretty much saved the day today. I know Jason Dominguez pretty much teed him up for that moment. Thought that was a big hit in this game. We had to have it. Love what Dominguez is doing, especially from the left side, but 99 is the reason we won today. So want to get into Will Warren. Warren, by the way, and part of what Judge was saying in postgame was that if we had scored some runs early, this is probably a different outing for this guy. And part of that I've alluded to with the fact that anytime you're 3 through 5 starters out there, and I think Will Warren, we can all agree, is somewhere hovering between a 4 and a 5. When guys are healthy, he may find himself outside the rotation. But having said that, he's in our rotation right now. And you're not going to look at your 5 starter and put up 1 or 2 and expect to win a game. That's part of what Aaron Judge is bringing up. So I thought that made a lot of sense. Warren was forced to essentially pitch without confidence. All of a sudden you see a situation where Ben Rice forgets where all his players behind him are playing. They give an error to DJ LeMahieu on that throw, and that was not his error. That was not his mistake. That was on Ben Rice. You have to understand where guys are playing behind you. You have DJ LeMahieu playing the shift to a left-hander. He's essentially right behind you. So if there's a ground ball to your right, you just need to know as a first baseman, I need to get my way back to the bag. Instead, he does neither. He goes for the ball, doesn't get it, turns around, can't get back to the base. DJ doing what he's supposed to do, he realizes, well, somebody better get over there. I'm going to throw it. And they gave him the error. So I liked what Will Warren did. I thought he did exactly what his job is. Quality start. Obviously, you see the Ks, they speak for himself, but that's not what we're after. We just want Will Warren to give us serviceable, let the offense do the rest.
But we'll take it. And I think that's the thing that I like about Will Warren a lot right now, is that he does miss bats. Now, he doesn't miss a ton of bats, and this is actually the thing, Gary. Only missed 10 today, right? That's good, but it's not like Castillo missed 17, right? Generated 17 swing and misses. The reason why I say this is because he gets the missed bat on that third strike. That's what you're seeing with Will Warren. He'll have, and I mean, Boone has mentioned it, guys battle against him. He has good stuff. He said it, post game. He's like, look, thought Warren had really good stuff today, but he was laboring. He still had to fight through these at bats, and it came down to that final pitch in the at bat, and he was able to put guys away 9 times. And Gary, we're already off to a really blistering start for Warren in May. This is a guy now that has a 3.18 ERA in 3 starts in May. And I want to bring up his 24 strikeouts because that is only 2 behind the 6 starts he made last month. So he's missing bats. He's doing a really nice job, in my opinion. I know he probably would want, some of those starts earlier in the season back, but he's learning. And look, we talked about this. I had voiced my confidence in him coming out of spring training. I then went back on it because I felt like the Yankees were in dire need of pitching, and I just didn't feel like he was that guy that was going to, go the next step, so to speak. But with Warren, you've already seen some really good things. You talk about the start against Arizona on April, right? Gives them 5 innings, 1 hit, gives up 2 earned runs. That's a good start, right? The bad starts we're talking about are really not that bad, Gary. The most he's given up, earned runs-wise, is 4. I think the thing that people look at, and the reason why I kind of freaked out, is because that Pirates game, not as good of a roster as some of the other rosters you're going up against. And you give up 4 runs in 4 innings, and then the 3 1/3 outing against Baltimore, Gary, that just was not very good. But if you remove those, for the most part, he's been exactly what you would want a 5th starter to be. His ERA, if you remove those, is probably hovering around 4, maybe even below 4. And that, to me, is kind of what I'm seeing from him. I think his ERA right now sitting at, I believe it's like 460 something. I don't know why Yes showed a graphic, it was 412, but I didn't lie to that.
I think that's what people see when they say, hey, is Will Warren in your circle of trust? I think people probably hear that headline and think, do you want him on a mound in a big game? Like, would you throw him the ball? No. Hey,
no, they didn't throw Luis Seal the ball last year. So
Luis Seal was nowhere near a mound when it really mattered most. So you guys can say what you want to say about his talent, his ceiling, all this stuff, right? And we see the radar gun, right? We know what the stuff looks like. So we understand Luis Seal has the potential that excites people. You see a guy who can be 1, 2, 3 in your rotation. That's what people want to see. But when you talk about a circle of trust, to some degree, there have to be 5 starters you trust to start a game that give you quality. And for the most part, this Yankees offense has been electric. I know that you look at guys like Jazz, right? Guys like Cody Bellinger, who really got out the gate slow. Anthony Volpe had about 3-week stretch where he was an out. There are a lot of guys who have struggled in this Yankees offense, but the entire group as a unit, we're putting runs on the board. So when it comes to a circle of trust of your rotation, Will Warren is rarely ever going to be one of the best. He's not going to be one of the best game arms in the game. It's just not going to happen. This guy is just someone to go out there. He's going to have electric 3 innings of baseball. You're going to say, wow, I can really see the stuff. He looks like almost like a little hybrid Michael King. Then you see how he's really not Michael King. The following inning where he's really struggling to get off the mound, well, that's what comes with being a 5-starter. At times, they look highly serviceable, and you're like, wow, he actually could be something. And then the next moment, they can't miss a bat or they can't find a glove. That's just how it is. So Will Warren, for me, I trust him to just give us quality, 5 innings, 3 runs, and we just understand that we're going to go to our bullpen. I know we didn't necessarily love what we did out of the bullpen today. The results were fine, but the names we saw, Matzik being one of the first guys out the pen, that was interesting. I thought that was a
cigar.
The human victory cigar came out at a time in the game where he hasn't done that. Now, some of this has to do with what we saw yesterday. They did use Cruz, they used Weaver, and I'm sitting there thinking they must have done this because they didn't feel comfortable going back to these guys. No, there's a day off tomorrow. So they actually did end up going back to those guys and ends up winning us a game. So I thought it was interesting from Boone. Can't say whether or not I agree or disagree. I'm not sure where else I would have gone, but I'm certain Matzik wouldn't have been the name I put my finger on.
You know, he kind of reminds me of Nick Pivetta, and I'm not saying like from stuff-wise or anything like that, but Pivetta took a while to really get going. And I feel like he reminds me of like Pivetta within the last 3 years and how he's kind of emerged, right? So I think that's kind of like the pathway for him. Like, is he ever going to turn into an ace? No, but I think he could be. I think his ceiling is probably a decent 3 if it works out. But all the Yankees need him to do is be a 5. Just be good enough to be a rotational guy. He was not a top prospect, and just because he became the 5th, overall prospect, dude had an over 6 ERA in AAA. I mean, it was not good in AAA. So whatever the Yankees get from him, make no mistake about it, as an 8th round pick, I mean, he is exactly what you would want. This is 100% what you want out of an 8th round pick who never really produced at the AAA level. This is better than what they could have expected. But since I'm just throwing comps around now, Gary,
what's up?
Remember last time I looked up the comp for Anthony Volpe on Savant, and they told me he was Donovan Solano.
What does it say now?
So not Volpe, but you mentioned Michael King. That is literally what he's saying and what they're saying. Michael King.
And is that related to
Will Warren
stuff? Because I'm assuming when you watch
velocity
him,
and movement.
velocity and movement. When you watch him, because obviously there are going to be people who intentionally misunderstand what we're saying. There's just a certain type of baseball that you're trying to accomplish. And you can see with Michael King, this is a guy who's got a comeback fastball. It's really a sinker. He throws it off the plate, glove side, and it comes back to the zone. And that's why you see so many atrocious swings with his sweeper. His sweeper is one of the best pitches in all of baseball. There's hardly any pitchers in this sport with as good of a sweeper as Michael King. But having said that, you see that with Will Warren. You see a lot. You saw sweepers a lot today. And you saw the four-seam numbers, by the way. The four-seam numbers for Will Warren are electric. They're great. And that's not something I expected to see. That was a huge surprise for me. So when I saw that on the broadcast, obviously it was a good job from Yes for finding this information. But yeah, to some degree, I remember looking at certain pitches with a certain pitcher on your roster, and you're thinking, if you've got dominant numbers with a certain pitch, perhaps it's as simple as using that pitch more. You mentioned this last year with Clay Holmes. His worst pitch, and you'd think it was his best, was his sinker with the Yankees. That final year with the Yankees, the sinker was not working. It just wasn't. So to some degree, you have to look at your pitch mix and say, okay, who am I comped with? How's it working for me? And then work off of that. So Will Warren, I thought his outings so far, these last few, have made a lot of sense. He's trying to get ahead of guys. You saw a lot of 0-2 today, and he wasn't messing around. 1-2, 2-2, getting to 3-2. I thought he was living around the strike zone and forcing this Yankees offense to be the reason we won or lost. It takes a lot to do that. Very easy to look behind you, see a guy like Ben Rice making mental mistakes, right? Seeing guys like B-Boss hit a line drive to first base, freeze for no reason whatsoever. You're trying to make a roster and not run and then decide, oh, he dropped the ball. Let me sprint over to first base. Cost us a hit, cost us a base runner. It's very difficult to pitch when you know you cannot possibly give up any runs given what people are doing behind you. So I thought Will Warren deserves a ton of credit today. And whether or not we're going to trust him long term, I think that'll be built as time goes on, maybe around All-Star break, but my circle of trust is 5 players deep. He's getting close.
Yeah. Real quick, you mentioned the Clay Holmes thing. I just wanted to bring it to your attention. The slider is his best pitch this year. He doesn't use it nearly as often, but he has the same exact numbers as last year. So he's just a better pitcher using the slider. They have him using the sinker. I thought that was funny. But with Will Warren, to your point, his fastball last year had a 3-run value. This year it has a 2. You want to have a number. You don't want to have a negative number. That's bad, right?
Might as well not even throw that pitch.
Yeah, well, his changeup, -3. It's getting just absolutely tattooed, you know? So there are still some things to go over with him, but he is an improving pitcher. And he's got a four-seamer. He's got a sweeper, as you mentioned. He's got a sinker. He's got a change, and he's got a curve. Very rarely uses the curve, only 5% of the time. He's got some really good stuff there. And he also has some decent savant ratings now. Now, I'm not saying everything is decent, and he gives up really hard, some of the hardest contact in the sport. Like 93 mile an hour is the average velo exit because he throws more fastballs, right?
That's fair.
I think this is a player to keep looking out for, keep watching. Now that we've seen him pitch 41 innings, it's now essentially doubled what he had, almost doubled what he had last year, right? Last year, he was 0-3 with a 10.32 ERA in 6 games and 5 starts.
Who was?
Will Warren.
He was that bad?
29 strikeouts and a 1.90 whip.
I don't remember that. I mean, I remember not being great, but
I remember we were like talking about it. We're like, there's no way this guy's going to come out and beat the Phillies. And he actually pitched well until he gave up that home run against the Phillies. It was like a 3-run shot. But Will Warren is 2-2 this year with a 4.61 ERA and 9 starts, 41 innings pitched, 50 strikeouts, and 1.32 WHIP. So I understand the numbers don't sound amazing, but this is a player that is still young, 25 years of age. He's barely pitched in the bigs. We're talking a total of 63 and 2/3 innings. That's it. It's all he's pitched. And he already has 79 strikeouts. And he's already shown that he's a lot better than he was last year. Like, miles better. Because you can actually leave him in a close game, Gary, and not worry about him. Like, last year, you're like, I'm taking him out in the 3rd inning. Like, this isn't going to work. But you
I think that's fair. He doesn't even really have to be good. He has to be relatively serviceable. Jake, if you just look at the numbers just for our division, which is important. If you look at runs scored, the Yankees this season have scored 250 runs, right? Yes. How many runs do you think the second highest is? And obviously that's Boston. They've scored 221 runs, right? The next highest, 168 from Toronto, 162 from Tampa, and 156 from Baltimore. So the question is like, how good does your 3 through 5 have to be? Just stay on the field. Just give us 4. Give us 5 innings. Give up 3. That's not a good ERA. It's not. But it's just serviceable, and it keeps us in the game to where by season's end, I do think the Yankees, we obviously see Sierra here with the Super, says, do you guys think they're maximizing Matzik, right? Because Johnny Lowe's coming back, he's going to be DFA'd. So they're trying to milk him. I personally don't think that's what it was today, just for the simple fact that was a big situation. The game was close. I understand. That. Yes, I also hated it. But I understand completely this perspective. If we were down 6-0 in the 4th inning on the road and you're like, let's go ahead and wave the white flag. Let's throw in a guy that we're going to DFA. That makes a lot of sense to me. It does. I know we all hate it when we throw in the white flag because we always feel like we should come back and win every game. But to some degree, this perspective would make a ton of sense if we were out of the game. We were right in the thick of a baseball game where we're headed back home to Yankee Stadium in a huge series with the Mets. You want some momentum. You do.
Absolutely.
And to throw in a white flag in this situation because you just think a guy's going to be a DFA candidate, I think that's a mistake. I don't think that's what it was. I think Matzik pitched today because Aaron Boone thought it was the best thing for the team. Thankfully, we survived. We did.
Yeah, and he wasn't horrendous like some of the other outings, but I still just don't feel confident when he goes out there. I don't. And that was...
Well, no, nobody. I don't think anybody does.
It's so funny how they subtly, after Matzik gave up that hit, they're like, and here's Jonathan Loaisiga, who will be back next week.
Yeah, they sure did.
Did you catch that? That was hilarious.
I did catch that.
The timing of that graphic, A+ for Yes Network. That was amazing. Also, real quick.
Very subtle.
Those announcers did a great job. Jeff Nelson and what's his name? Was it Ryan Shackle? They were great.
I have absolutely no idea who the other person was, and that's no disrespect. I just didn't hear the announcement, but Jeff Nelson for sure was there.
I thought they were great, Gary. I did. I liked Justin Shackle. That's what it was. Justin Shackle, I thought was good at like kind of having some. There was some energy. I didn't have Michael K, and I understand that. You're not going to you can't, Michael K doesn't grow on trees. But Justin Shackle was good. Like, I actually enjoyed the broadcast, and I was very skeptical because I like Jeff Nelson, but I was like, who is this Justin? And they kept calling him Shaq, and I'm like, here's the problem with nicknames. If I don't know who the guy is to begin with, I have no way to look this guy up. I was looking up Shaq like feverishly online. I could not find this guy. I was like, who is this? And then they said, oh, yeah, Justin Shackle. I was like, oh, Shaq is short for Shackle. Okay.
Yeah, it is a little odd when people give nicknames to people we like hardly know.
Yeah. Nothing against him, but, you know.
No, nothing against him. It's like when you have players with the name Miguel. They're like, oh, Miggy. I'm like, no, Miguel Cabrera's Miggy. You're just Miguel. You're just, you're Miguel. You're not special. Ed W with the super. Ed, thank you for supporting the channel. Man. Says, Gary, you said Warren. I do remember this. I'm very sad that you're reminding me, but I do appreciate the super. Says, you said Warren should never be allowed near a mound last year. That does sound a lot like me.
Yeah, you definitely.
He was
I
that
remember
bad.
You saying that.
Also, the Yankees team ops is 828. Insane, 25 points higher than LA. And by the way, guys, just for some context, Ed, great information here.
Yeah.
If our team ops is 828, league average, the average baseball player in the sport, and we've mentioned this a few times, but we're always here to remind you, is 700. So when you see the disparity there, you're going to score a lot of runs. So what it tells us is our starting pitching, maybe in the meantime, doesn't have to be great for us to go win a division. But this is the hard part, Jake. If your starting pitching is just good enough for your offense to carry, you rarely ever see an offense carry in October. You need some type of pitching, even deeper in your rotation. Your 3 or 4 starters have to be very good. They tend to have to be. So we know that obviously the Dodgers won the World Series and they had the ability to have really like 2 healthy arms by the end. That doesn't happen very often. Just doesn't, guys. So I understand people's frustration feeling like this isn't long-lived. This isn't going to last. That's justified. I understand it. Maybe the Yankees do need a veteran who can take this start from Will Warren and it's more consistent long-term or even in a big game. But yeah, as Ed put it, this Yankees offense is doing their job.
Yeah, no, they definitely are, and that was what was so frustrating the last 2 games. It's like, okay, the Mariners, we know you can't hit, so it's going to be a close game regardless. But it's like,
yes,
the Yankees were so much better than the Mariners going into this series. It was really frustrating, Gary, the last 2 games, to just not be able to hit when you knew they were capable of it. You knew it. So, yeah, that was frustrating. Another thing that's frustrating, and I am not going crazy, the graphic was not wrong. Earth Wander is 100% right. How they changed Warren ERA is just nuts. It was supposed to be 4.16. Do you know why? Because they actually took away that error. That error does not exist now. So
you're not talking about that. Wait, hold on. They called that a hit?
They changed it after the game, Gary. After the game. So when I watched I watched okay, now I feel normal again. I thought I was going crazy because I watched the graphic after the game, Gary, when they're breaking it down in the studio. They're talking about how he had a 4.16 ERA. That's what I mentioned to you. Remember when we were talking earlier? I was like, yeah, his ERA is almost below 3. And then all of a sudden I had to adjust on the fly because showbiz, right? And I'm like, yeah, 4.61 ERA. And I'm sitting there like, did they like just move the 6 and the 1? Like, how did that happen? And then I did some digging and I found that after the game, they changed it from an error to a hit.
So, okay. So what you mean to tell me is that Ben Rice wasn't supposed to be standing at first base? So here's my question, okay? I actually have a genuine question. I'm not trying to be funny in any way.
No, I get it.
I'm not a comedian. This is not my day job. If there's a ground ball, let's just say hypothetical situation, a ground ball to shortstop, to Anthony Volpe, 1 hop to his chest, perfect hop, and Ben Rice or Paul Goldschmidt, whoever you decide in this hypothetical is playing first, just decides they don't feel like going to stand over at first base. Is it just a hit? Is that what it is?
It's insane to me because we love Ben Rice, but he was out of position, and thus it was a mental error. And it led to a throwing error. But the mental error created the throwing error. So there's got to be an error. That means that base runner should not be on base, but is because of the error, which is not an earned run. So none of those runs should have been earned.
They should be like probable cause. You know what it reminds me a lot of?
That would have gotten him out of the inning, right?
It reminds me of like when a quarterback throws the ball directly to a receiver and it hits him straight in the face mask and pops up and it's picked off and they give the interception to the quarterback.
Yep.
In my estimation, this error is all psychological. And if you just watch the play, I think anybody, and I know there may be someone who says, no, but this rule suggests that vacating a base isn't an error. But if you just watch the play, it was very clearly, and he obviously didn't mean to. He thought, oh, I'm going to go over to get this ball. Oh, wait a minute. I can't even do that. Let me get back to first base. Oh, I can't do that either. So I'm just going to stand here like a mannequin, and then the ball's going to go past me. So it's your error. It was so obviously that's sad for Will Warren because he doesn't deserve that.
No, that's some BS. And I still think his start looks good. I was actually thinking that. I was like, wait, he gave up 2 earned runs? I didn't think he did. And I knew he gave up 2 runs, but I didn't think they were earned. And sure enough,
That's a bummer.
the broadcast just totally had me. They were right. It literally happened. This is my issue with this, and they need to fix this. You can't have Joe Schmo, who's doing stats on the road, take away. What if this was a no-hitter?
I mean, I don't.
You can't just like change the call after the game is made. Like the game's over. The broadcast is over. So now we're on the post game and they're in the studio talking about it, showing graphics of what the stats are. Not an opinion, the stats, the facts. And now I go around and I'm like, oh yeah, 4.16 ERA. Now I look like a total ignoramus because his ERA, and I just look like I'm dyslexic because it's 4.61, not 4.16. So it's ridiculous, Gary. And the fact that like that's happened now multiple times to the Yankees on the road. Like the Yankees won the game. But I am passionate about this.
This is a great comment right here. Retro Tony, nice work right there. The movie Mr. 3000. This is essentially the premise of Mr. 3000. Hey, they just totally screwed up a ruling. Now you need something else. Right? Yep. Your stats aren't as good as you thought they were. So nice work right there. The like super chat. I want to catch up with super so you guys don't fall behind. Yeah, that was really sad. Apex, thank you for supporting the channel. Says the Mets lose. I don't know if you guys saw it. Baltimore lost twice. They stink. Yankees win. Great momentum. Knicks in 6. What happened to the Knicks today? They got beat by 30. No Jason Tatum. It was a bad day.
Luke Cornett had like 8 blocks. What? I don't remember him doing that on the Knicks. Where the hell this Luke Cornett
The Knicks
came
just
from?
decided we're letting go of the rope in the 3rd. We'll see you guys in Game 6. But yeah,
they wanted to win it. They wanted to win it in New York. I get it. It's understandable.
Yeah, I'm sure they didn't. I'm sure they didn't want to move on today.
I know.
Alex Reyes with the 5. Thank you, Alex. Says, what do you? Oh, I like this. Saying, what do you guys expect from the Subway Series? I know Judge and Goldschmidt crushed them, but Soto, Lindor, and Alonso kill us every series.
Oh,
so
God.
here's
so
what
true.
I know so far about this series. Clay Holmes will not pitch. Right?
That's a bummer.
It's a bummer. I thought that would have been really just good theater. It'd have been fun to watch.
Absolutely.
I would have liked to see that happen. Even if he pitches well, you want to see that theater and see what the Yankees do about it. And I guess to some degree, you know, we should be seeing Rodon, right?
Yeah.
We should be seeing Fried. Is that correct? Or are we going to miss Fried by a game?
No, it's Fried, Rodon, I think Yarbrough. Let me check though.
Okay, so you have to like our matchups here. You just have to.
It's okay. It's changed. Rodon, Yarbrough, and Schmidt. It looks like Fried. It will be the Texas matchup. So
okay. Well, I don't love that because
I don't either.
The Mets staff in general
Fried,
is very
so.
good. We're probably going to see Cody Senga. Likely to see him. He's been great this year against everybody.
I don't even
Dominant
know
against
why
Arizona's lineup, like one of the best lineups in the sport. We saw what they looked like when they played us. So, Earth is saying Rodon, Schmidt, Fried. I like Rodon. Obviously, you like Fried. Schmidt's this huge wild card. He just is. If you're going to pitch against the Mets, the Dodgers, the Padres, the Diamondbacks, any team that really goes 9 deep, when you're talking about good hitters hitting 7th, good hitters hitting 9th, great hitters hitting 3rd, well, the issue that you run into is you can't come into a game without your command. That doesn't work. I'm here to tell you right now, you will find yourself out of a game very quickly. So, Alex, to tell you what I expect those first and third games to be really tight. I think those are going to be playoff games. Game 2 is where it's going to be all hands on deck. What do the Yankees do in that game? I have no expectations whatsoever, but let's see what Schmidt does.
Although, if Yarbrough wants to have another one of those out of nowhere, like, oh, I guess he is a starter. He's not a bullpen pitcher anymore. I'm okay with those type of starts. I'll take them. But real quick, 2 games started. Carlos Rodon has a .84 ERA against the Mets. I was actually at one of the games. I was texting you. I remember it was Peraza, I think was at short or second or something. You're like, yeah, he's the worst fielder in the league at the time. Because you're like, you did not like his glove. So that was in 2023. That might have been the only good game Rodon pitched the entire year, and I just happened to be there.
That was a terrible year.
Oh, that year was bad. He pitched, 5 2/3, 4 hits, gave up 1 run, and
he was hurt in spring training. That was the big catch. And Kyle with the super says that Judge homer was awesome. I think this is a good time to talk about that home run because you did sort of give some context there about how hard the pitch was.
Off air.
The left fielder didn't even move a muscle, which is funny because like when I used to play outfield, and anytime I do that, pitchers would come out actually and be like, "Hey Gary, next time can you move a muscle?" And I'm like, "Well, next time don't give up a ball 500 feet." And then that way I can at least think I'm going to catch the ball and then go, oh, you know what? It's over the wall. And then it looks normal. But when Aaron Judge squares up a ball and a guy's 6'7", 282 pounds, why would I move a muscle?
Everyone
and in that situation,
in the
he didn't.
Knows it's gone.
The camera turned around and the ball was already slamming into a wall. It wasn't even, you never see contact like that, ever.
No.
It just doesn't happen.
Well, let's put it this way. The way I put it to you, Aaron Judge today hit a ball 117.7 miles per hour on StatCast. Okay. That's the second hardest hit home run ball all year. Okay. I don't know what the first one is, nor do I care. His swing was 81.7 miles per hour. To put it into perspective, that home run ball that Grisham had screwed over on that, and it would have been a home run 17 out of 30 ballparks, his swing was 10 miles per hour less. That's how hard Aaron Judge hit that ball. And keep this in mind too. That was an off-speed pitch. Judge crushed like an 88 mile an hour pitch, 117.7 off the bat.
10 mile an hour difference. That's like, just to put it into perspective, that's like playing golf. And your buddy's hitting like 300-yard drives, and you're just way behind him hitting like 230. Yeah. I couldn't even imagine having a teammate swing a bat 10 miles an hour harder than you. I couldn't even picture it. But sometimes, guys, it sure does. But I guess to some degree, you just have to look at it and say, he's got the physical gifts and tools. Aaron Judge looks like a created player that like one of your cousins makes in a video game, and you're like, you're 5'11", 145 pounds. Why is your created player 6'10" in this NBA game? Aaron Judge is that created player. He really is. And you would really think, because Jake, I know you were high on him out of college. You love this pick by the Yankees.
He's the only guy I wanted in that draft.
And what's interesting about that is scouts in general don't usually like bodies this big. They just don't. The average Hall of Famer is 5'11". So there's a reason for that. There's just more consistent mechanics, all types of stuff, right? Injuries. And Aaron Judge is able to maneuver with this body style. You just don't see this. You don't see it from anybody. So very interesting, very unique. Jordan Richard with the super, thank you for the 5, says, do you think Boone handled Matzik like the Williams situation, getting his confidence up in high leverage situations to find his identity? No. I think Aaron Boone, and Jake, I want you to answer this very soon here.
Yeah.
I think this is handled like you just found a cigarette. You ever see someone just bum a cigarette? It's like half smoked and it's just laying on the floor and someone picks it up and lights it. That's what I think this is. He is going to be DFA'd very quickly here. Johnny Lowe is almost healthy. That's why Jake brought up the graphic there. He won't be here very much longer. And that's nothing against him. That's just the nature of this business.
Yeah. I mean, and they've let guys go that were pitching well, right? So they are essentially that law firm that like you have to hit all of your, deliverables or you get fired. Like there's no like, oh yeah, we'll give you a second chance. Like it's a really hard thing to stay in that Yankee bullpen all 162 games. We see guys that are pitching well. Like, say what you will. I mean, getting rid of Ottavino, for instance, he was in the bullpen twice, and I thought he looked totally fine. I'm surprised he even agreed to that. Could you imagine hopping on a flight? And now, mind you, it's not that bad. Like you hop on Delta first class, most likely, and you get to New York. You've got to show up to the yard like 4 or 5 hours early, warm up. Your family's all at home. You're rich. Like technically, you don't have to play baseball at all. You don't need anything. And he's like, yeah, I'll go play for the Yankees. You pitch. You're like, he does fine. He's probably thinking, oh, maybe I can hang around for a few weeks or a couple months. And you're just DFA'd. And he's like, oh, well, all right.
And you just
it's
now
like
what?
if Lewis Litt was running a bullpen.
Right.
Like, it's
So
just
that's
like,
the sad
oh,
part
you're
about
fired.
the end of the roster is you can
Yeah.
do something and they don't have any aspirations for you. They can just get right rid of you. So Ed W with the 10. Thank you, Ed, for supporting. Says Warren slays when attacking the zone. This is true. His success depends on his own execution, not strength of opponent. His stuff it's that promising. Also, score change butchered my scorecard. They're as bad as umpires. So obviously Ed's not very happy with the decision there. But yeah, that's a bummer. That really is a bummer because it's fun actually to do scorebooks. I don't know for those of you who have done it, but I guess the point here that Ed's making, this is about confidence. This is what Boone was talking about. Confidence is what gets you to nibble rather than trusting your stuff and being in the zone. Will Warren, if he paid really more attention than he needed to today, he could have pitched himself into a lot of trouble, and this game wouldn't have been winnable at all. That's why I mentioned how good of a job he did. But I agree with this, Jake. I think in general, Will Warren is not a great pitcher. He probably never will be. But he can be serviceable, consistently serviceable. And the only way he can do that is by trusting his stuff. He did that today. And as time goes on, when Ed can no longer send us this message saying he's got to trust his stuff, then we'll realize if Will Warren lived up to his potential.
Yeah, it's a wait and see, but it's also a monitor because you're not going to sit there and be like, yeah, I'll check back with you in 10 years. Like, no, we're Yankee fans or anybody that covers the Yankees. You got to be on them every night. That's just the reality of it. So we're going to keep monitoring Will Warren, but we're not going to make definitive statements like he is the guy. He did figure it out. We don't know what he is, but we do know that May has been promising for him. And he doesn't want to leave. And I see you're about to laugh.
We should Photoshop his face over like Roger Clemens and be like, Will Warren, Cy Young.
Those people that complain about our
off.
prompts because they like literally don't watch our show. And then they're like, the Flip Flop podcast. I was like, all right, so you watched literally 5 minutes of the podcast. And
no,
left.
they didn't watch 5 minutes. They loaded in just to comment. And then they went back to watching Coco Melon. They don't watch. They don't watch anything. They really don't. Ron VC with the super. Ron, thank you so much for the 2. Says Aroldis Chapman blew a save for the Red Sox. That is tough to see. It is not. The Red Sox are losing a lot of games at the end of the game. And I think in general, Chapman's throwing well this season. I've watched a few of his outings. He's still throwing 102. I don't know how.
His arm's
He's like
gonna fall
37. You'd think at some point, but Nolan Ryan pitched into his 40s, and at some point his arm did fall off, but it took a while. Aroldis Chapman's probably got one of the better fastballs that's ever played, and that's not just about velocity. It's sustained velocity. So good for him that he's throwing hard. Obviously bad for him that he blew the game. So,
I mean, it's the
tough.
Red Sox. I'm not going to sit here. I liked Aroldis more than other people did, and I do feel like he kind of got a bad rap. And I thought the end of his tenure was kind of sad. I mean, he was a Yankee for a while, and he just got essentially left off the postseason roster, and there was more that we never found out about. But, yeah, he's not a Yankee anymore, and the Red Sox, you're going to root against the Red Sox if you're a Yankee fan or if, So that's that. But so does Warren stay when Luis returns? Oh, yes. Warren is locked in. I don't think he's going anywhere unless they trade him or they get somebody.
Well, the question is who else is on the plate? That's the real. I mean, who else you got?
Marcus
Stroman. Marcus Stroman is. He should not be. There should be a restraining order on him in the Yankees mound. He should not pitch.
See, I like that you brought this up because I hate to be that guy, but I was so turned off by Marcus Stroman. And I still find DJ LeMahieu frustrating to watch. But you know what? LeMahieu got on base twice today. Okay? LeMahieu is not a perfect player, but LeMahieu has meant so much more to this team. And there is kind of a chance LeMahieu could turn it around because he cares. He genuinely cares. I give this guy a lot of credit. We get on him. He's killing bugs and all that. But I see a guy that literally will not let this dream die. He is not throwing in the towel. He continues to fight back. This dude's been injured like crazy. And the way we look at it is he's injury prone. He's always hurt. You can't count on him. But at the same time, you got to give him a lot of props for getting back to the show and was able today in his first start. He had a hit and he had a walk. And you know what? That's my issue with Stroman. That last appearance from Stroman and just what he has said to the media. Can you imagine DJ LeMahieu saying that? Yeah, I'm not a bench player. Yeah, I'm not a utility guy.
He would literally shag. He would shag probably batting practice if we asked him to. Hey, you're not going to play at all. You're going to be the bat boy this series, and then maybe next series we'll put you out there. He would say, okay, well, whatever it is that you need. That's why you see so many players saying, no, we don't want to get rid of DJ LeMahieu. We're not saying this is right, but we're telling you it's an indication that the players really like him. Now, obviously, if they say, do you like Marcus Stroman? The players are going to go, yeah, I like Marcus Stroman. Okay. Why is he bouncing around Major League Baseball? He can never find a home. He's always disliked by somebody. He's always a chip on his shoulder. There's always some problem somewhere. Do rag this. I don't want to be in a relief. You're not that good to be telling us that. You're not.
You're not that guy, pal.
You're not that guy. So I just didn't understand it. When you're a bubble player on a roster, just do what you're told. I just think it's that simple, especially when you're getting paid $18 million a year. I just think that's basic knowledge. So the question from Apex, and again, Apex, thank you for supporting this channel.
Thank you, Apex.
Thank you for the 2, says, obviously, is Warren staying if Luis returns? You said no. Or you said yes, he should. But I guess the thing is that if you just look at the roster, it's Rodon, Fried, Stroman, Warren, Schmidt, Cole, Heel. Now, that's healthy or unhealthy. Well, Garrett Cole is not returning to a mound. I think if Garrett Cole was healthy, obviously,
absolutely.
Will Warren would be packed his bags out to the bullpen. The same role we were asking Marcus Stroman to pitch in. The difference being, Will Warren's a better pitcher,
and
younger,
he would do it.
and cheaper, and he would do it because he knows this is a job, and your boss tells you what you do at your job. Just basic stuff. So, Will Warren will pitch for this team unless after you see Luis Hill return, the Yankees do something after that to bring in another arm. Then you would see Will Warren phased out. But till that happens,
I could genuinely see them selling high on Warren, if he rides this wave and starts looking really good. And they're like, okay, well, if we can turn him into, a top 3 starter that we have years of control behind, he might be a part of that deal. But for the time being, Will Warren's not going anywhere.
Yeah, and this is about Volpe. So Golden Spatian with the 5. Thank you, Golden. Says Volpe was the start of the offense today. That is true. That ball was roped. Should have been a walk, by the way. So
should have been a home run, by the way.
Should have been a home run, but should have been a walk before. The 3-1 pitch was not close to the strike zone. They called it anyway. But Volpe was ready for another fastball. He tends to get a lot of those. And he just smokes this pitch. Smokes it. And that's off Castillo, one of the best arms in the game. So, credit to him. He has been looking more consistent. That is absolutely true. And he says he likes him as a doubles guy with the occasional, see the keyword there? Occasional home run. Anthony Volpe should not be a power hitter. It's okay to hit for power. But when the main attack of your game, as a player who has the base running metrics, the stolen base numbers, just the foot speed of Anthony Volpe, the athleticism, to make your main point of attack be power and trying to put the ball in the seats, I personally, obviously Golden agrees, that shouldn't be the main attack you've got. You need to prioritize putting the ball in play, putting the ball in the gaps. It's like almost like Michael Young. Certainly Michael Young, back for the Rangers, could have hit home runs, but he was a doubles guy because he understood the type of style he had to play. So, I agree. Anthony Volpe has looked much better. Can't say it's reliable yet. We need to see something long-term, but I like what I see.
I completely agree, and I think a lot of people don't really get that, is that all these guys are capable of hitting a home run. We saw, Trevino got hot. We saw a really good example of this is Higashioka. He was capable of hitting just bombs, and they come out of nowhere, and you'd be like, what the hell? But when you're Higashioka, who's desperately trying to make every single at-bat count because you're not getting that much playing time.
That's fair.
Are you going to be swinging for the fences, or are you going to be more consistent in your approach, be more conservative, hit the line drives? Well, there's a lot of players that are going to be uppercutting and trying to swing for the fences. But Higashioka is one of those players that wouldn't do that, right? So that's kind of the thing there, is that these guys are capable of that. Like, honestly, I think that was a big thing that kind of screwed Joey Gallo. I think he screwed himself. Gallo wasn't a terrible hitter. Obviously, he's kind of a running gag on this show because I could not stand him. But I can at least acknowledge he was a good baseball player at one point or another. Then he got I think it was so in his head that he had to hit into the short porch. And it was like, oh yeah, he's just got to, and it's like everything looks like he was swinging for the fences. And yes, he's a power hitter and everything, but he wasn't like Adam Dunn, where I was like, all right, Adam Dunn is either hit home run or strike it out. Like every time.
I actually don't even think that was the problem. And this is just my personal opinion. You may be right. My personal opinion on Joey Gallo, real quick here, I actually think it didn't work because he knew Yankees fans were rejecting what it was that was just acceptable in a place like Texas. You can strike out 235 times in a season. Nobody cares because you play good defense, which was true at the time when we traded for him, and you end up hitting home runs. But what Joey Gallo realized is that he was getting put in situations and he was finding himself in situations with big at-bats. He's like, oh, wow, I have to make a productive out here. It doesn't make sense for me to strike out 3 times today. And then tomorrow, when we face inferior talent, we face a 5-starter, I may go deep twice. Yankees fans are like, no, the baseline at bat needs to be better. And all of a sudden, he started to change what he was trying to do and lose confidence. So that's what I saw. I saw a player who just completely lost confidence, and I really think it derailed his entire career, which is obviously sad. So wasn't rooting for that. Didn't love the fit, but
no,
man.
I didn't love the fit either. But I will say, when I watch Jason Dominguez, this is why I'm so thankful for what he is and what he's becoming. He's not that player. And he just, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but he just has that look of a player that would be chasing that home run. And to me, he isn't quite the slugger that I think people assumed him to be, because when he came into the Bronx the first time, he was known for hitting those home runs. You know what I mean?
But that's true. But let me actually Google 1 second, and I'm Googling his height. It says he's 5'9". I've stood right next to this guy. He is not 5'9".
Is he taller?
He's shorter. No,
he's shorter.
First, not saying he's 5'4", but
he does look bigger though on TV. I will say that.
Yeah, because he's jacked.
Yeah,
he's jacked. Jason Dominguez is jacked. So yeah, you look bigger when you're yoked. So I guess the point is, when you're 5'9", like 200 pounds, and you just run like the wind, I think it's easier just personnel-wise for that type of body style to commit to being an all-around player. But when you're 6'4", 205, this lengthy guy who's standing straight up, yeah, I think the idea of why he was in the big leagues is I'm going to leave the ballpark 40 times, strike out 250 times, but by the time the end of the season rolls around, I drove in 96 and hit 45 bombs. You might have watched me and been like, man, he sucks. But then you look up at the scoreboard and you see a bunch of homers. That's value in today's game. Jason Dominguez is more of an all-around player, something that is a little against the new school. I'm going to do the little stuff. I'm going to go the other way.
That's why it's so fascinating.
It is fascinating, but it's like, imagine how fascinating it is for our fan base. We've watched so many players play that brand of baseball, and to see literally anybody, even when we traded for DJ LeMahieu, when we watched him go out and win a batting title, it was so refreshing to watch anybody go up to the plate where their main objective was just to hit a ball to the outfield grass and not to just hit a homer, which we all love home runs. Like I think we all agree. The best part about today's game was the rocket double from Dominguez, and even better than that, Aaron Judge hitting a ball 118 to Mars.
The pinch hit home run, the quietest pinch hit home run you'll ever see with Paul Goldschmidt.
The quietest pinch hit home run ever. We hardly saw it. But the point is, those are the 3 best moments of the whole game. They were all home runs. But that doesn't mean everything that happens today has to be a home run. That doesn't have to be your main objective. Jason Dominguez seems to understand that, which is rare for young players, so good on him.
Yeah, and then the last thing I'll touch on here, I wanted to talk about Cody Bellinger, who once again extended his hitting streak. He's been really consistent on getting on base every single game, it seems like, lately. And I I see just how hard he's starting to hit the ball, and I know Boone mentioned it post game. He's definitely, I think, about to hit a corner where he starts taking the consistency and turning it into like explosive play, where you start seeing home runs and you start seeing, multi-hit games. Like, and I say games, not a game, right? And I think that's what you're going to get with Bellinger. I think he is getting back from this injury. And the way sports is, I would not be surprised if he undersold it, to be honest with you, to try and stay on the field. So I'm glad, because I like the player. I know you like the player. And he's had some really good at-bats. And just because you go 1 for 4 on the day doesn't mean that it was a failure of a day. I mean, if you have at-bats that, generate pitch count on a guy like Luis Castillo, who's had good success against the Yankees, you're doing your job. You have to be able to, in my opinion, with a starter, like how we want starters to go length, the hitters should be trying to obviously score runs, but the second thing, they should be really trying to run up that pitch count, because that's today's game. Back in the day with Walter Jones and Cy Young and hell, even, guys like Bob Gibson, pitch count didn't matter. But we live in a world where pitch count literally decides whether or not you're going to be in the game or not. So
it's true.
That is part of the game now. It's like a new strategy, because Gary, that wasn't really a thing back in the day. That's like a new thing. I mean, I bring this up to you all the time. I still remember Edwin Jackson throwing 150 pitches in his no-hitter.
That was silly.
But ever since that, Gary, I feel like ever since that, Edwin Jackson was never the same. He showed a lot of promise, was never the same after that. And I'm not saying it happened right there, then and there on that game. But right around that time, we started to see a shift to like 100 pitches, and, only your ace is allowed to go over that. So it is part of the game now, whether we like it or not. And, I like getting these guys generating these, deep counts. Jason Dominguez is doing, all these guys are doing it. So, I think that there's a lot to like from this team. And I said it the other day, and I'll say it again, it's easy to be frustrated when they lose a game like they did the other night. But it's also important to remember that this team isn't where they're supposed to be yet. They're still kind of figuring itself out. That's why, like, when I say Bellinger, I think is in, the midst of something. It's not just him. Jason Dominguez is getting more comfortable. Who knows what we get out of guys like, Austin Wells was looking pretty good. I mean, today he only had one at bat, didn't even play today really. But you're starting to see guys that were struggling at the beginning of the year starting to maybe come into their own a little bit, or at least showing signs of that. So that's what I believe is the exciting thing moving forward.
Yeah, okay. Well, final touches here on Cody Bellinger. There's like 3 or 4 guys on this roster. You're just like, he hasn't put it together. Yeah, you might have hit a grand slam that was exciting, put the game over the top in Austin Wells, right? Mm-hmm. But he hasn't put together a few weeks where, like, there's the Austin Wells we saw in the first half. Cody Bellinger, at no point since 2022 has he struck out over 100 times. He's striking out a lot more right now for the Yankees. That's going to come back down to earth. It's going to come back down to the means. Jazz Chisholm, there's no way. I'm here to tell you right now, there's no way Jazz Chisholm, regardless of who he is when he comes back, he will not be as bad as he was for that month. He may be bad. It won't be that bad. He's not going to hit 100. So the point being, the Yankees have a lot of plans of attack, and there's some evidence here with 3 or 4 of these guys who really haven't been consistent for this team that they're going to give their consistent output at some point in the season. So when you start seeing guys like Will Warren struggle, you may be able to turn around and say, well, Cody Bellinger helped us out a ton and won us a game today. Cody Bellinger's been a net positive defensively, and now he's starting to pull his weight offensively. His ops is starting to creep towards 700. I mean, again, it's not the Holy Bible, but it's somewhat of an indication that a better player is arriving to the field. 11-game hitting streak. He does something every day now, which is a good thing. And I expect that to get much better. I know you and I, Jake, we never thought Cody Bellinger would be a problem. We understand totally when you're listening to a podcast, if a player plays terrible baseball, for 10 games in a row, you probably want to have some type of dramatic feeling and you want to make some type of move. Can a GM get this guy off the field? Can they trade him? Can they bench him? Whatever the case may be. We said, just be patient on this guy. History shows Cody Bellinger will be fine, and you see it now. He's fine. Yeah.
No, he is. And it's funny because it feels like the home runs kind of died down a little bit, and it's really just kind of the same guys. It's Judge, it's Grisham, and occasionally it's Wells. The Yankees have 10 more home runs this year than second place Dodgers. 10 more.
That's surprising. And I do like, by the way, this chat. So Yankees for the win. Thank you for the comment. Says you just can't have Cody batting behind Judge. I'm actually going to rebuttal that. Mm-hmm. I don't think it matters at all who hits behind him. I'm going to be completely honest with you.
They're still pitching to Judge regardless. So
it does not matter if we're playing postseason baseball games. It doesn't matter if we're playing regular season and it's August or if it's July. It does not matter because you can have Ben Rice back there. You can have Paul Goldschmidt. If Paul Goldschmidt's hitting 350, right? It's in line to try and win a batting title. And Aaron Judge, number 99 future Hall of Famer, comes up to the plate. Does it matter what Paul Goldschmidt's doing behind him? No, it doesn't. It shouldn't even weigh on your mind. He can go hit 350. The answer is to still pitch to Paul Goldschmidt. It just doesn't matter. So I say all that to say this. Aaron Judge's numbers have never wavered, no matter who was behind him. You could put today's version of Luke Voigt and throw him in the 4 spot, and Aaron Judge hits 3rd. And teams, for whatever reason, they just go, well, that guy's hitting behind him. They make the same decision every time, guys. We're going to nibble on Judge. And a team makes a mistake, and then he hits it. There's your answer. So I agree with you. We would love to just have another future Hall of Famer or another very strong asset behind him, and certainly the Yankees are trying to do that. But guys, I really think what matters for this Yankees offense, Aaron Judge is going to do what he does, regardless of where he hits in this lineup. But what matters is what we do 1 through 9 and how we pitch. And I know that sounds basic, how you hit, how you pitch, and I understand that. But we're not going to put someone behind Aaron Judge and it's going to unlock anything. I really don't think that. He's going to hit 60 home runs. Did you see, Jake, his numbers over the last 162 before we get to the Profit X picks? He is hitting on pace to hit 62 homers. He's essentially on pace to drive in 162. It's 160. That is nonsensical. And I promise you guys, it doesn't matter. People can say, well, we need production. I see the chat. We need production out of 4. We need it out of 3. If Aaron Judge is hitting 3rd, which I love when he's hitting 3rd, I do not care who's hitting 4th. Just make it a good player. That's honestly my only gripe.
Yeah. By the way, Judge has 10 more hits than Jacob Wilson this year, who's in 2nd place.
It's ridiculous.
Like,
it's absolutely ridiculous.
A home run hitter. People look at him, they're like, he is DeForest Buckner with a baseball bat. You remember DeForest Buckner, defensive lineman?
I do, and honestly...
He's like the same size, and this dude is... I don't get it.
Good for him, good for us. And I understand the concept that we want to have guys back there, especially in the heart of the order, that do damage. You can't just put a guy there just because he's lefty. And I agree with that concept. But Cody Bellinger sometimes would find himself right behind Aaron Judge. Anthony Rizzo at times would find himself behind Aaron Judge. Did it ever impact his numbers? No. We didn't even bother with Juan Soto putting him behind Aaron Judge. We just put Juan Soto at 2. Here you go.
I'm starting to care way less about the lineup. As long as Judge is 3, I don't care. Because they have multiple guys that can lead off. He's already made that clear. They have multiple guys that can bat second. They have multiple guys that can clean up. And really, I mean, Jason Dominguez has an argument to be higher on, in the batting order.
So you care about the 1 through 9, who plays in general?
Yeah, I think that's really what it is. Real quick complaint today. I don't know how Pablo Reyes came in to pinch hit for B-Boss. Because I get the lefty-righty, but, why him over Peraza? That at-bat was atrocious.
Would you tell me he made that fastball look like again? You remember?
Oh,
he made 93 look like who?
Was it
was it Nolan Ryan?
Randy Johnson, I think it was.
He made 93 look like it came out of a cannon.
Yeah, like it was 100. I think I said something about, I can't find it, but I know I said Mason Miller.
Mason Miller. He really did. The ball was in the glove. And I understand the concept. He wasn't technically blown away by the 93. He was fooled by it. He was looking for a breaking ball. But, man, you get a fastball down the middle, pinch hitting. It was a very bad at bat. It was.
Unlike, it all connects, Gary. Unlike Matzik, when we were talking about that earlier, and you're like, I just think, they just decided for whatever reason that he was the best to put in there. I feel like they were like, Reyes, we're sending you down very soon, so we'll give you random opportunities to run and hit and do that. They're not starting him, so they're telling us who's in front of him. If tomorrow he starts, okay, but he's not going to start. Well, not tomorrow, Friday, but it's likely going to be Peraza or Bibas. And I thought Bibas had good at bats today. I understand the platoon, but I would have gone with Peraza because guess what? Peraza was in at third. He literally put him in as a defensive replacement.
That's right.
So they're basically saying, there's not really much of a role there for Reyes. So it is what it is. But like I said, and to your point, all that matters is the 9 guys for me. And Judge is batting third. I don't want Judge batting second. Hurts his RBI chances. I don't want him batting cleanup because it takes away, 60 at-bats?
It's something like that. It is something. He technically gets more at bats, even if he hits 2 as opposed to 3. Just ends up working out that way. He comes up more in the 9th. But
you don't want him leading off in the second inning. So if it's a 3 up, 3 down, you don't want him not coming up with runners on or whatever. You don't want him coming up in the second inning. His first at bat of the game is a nothing burger.
I'll honestly take they could lead off Aaron Judge, and I'd take the consolation of that with the correct 9 players playing. Honestly, they could put Aaron Judge anywhere as long as he's not hitting below 4th, and I'll take it as long as I see Jason Dominguez out there, I see Ben Rice out there, I see the names that I think should be out there or that we think should be out there.
You know who's going to lead off tomorrow on Friday?
Friday?
It's going to be LeMahieu. There's will be a point, I think, where Boone does put LeMahieu lead off. He's speechless. But I'm right. I told you LeMahieu was going to come back and he was going to start. Remember I said that? I was confident.
We thought. I think we all agreed he was going to start, but to lead off, I mean,
he'll lead off again. His leadoff days are not done. He loves DJ. He loves him.
Okay. Well, we like DJ too when he's performing, but obviously he had a hit today. Really good contact. Good for him. Happy for him. Welcome back. But we need 250 with solid defense. Nothing sensational. We don't need any. My mom said I can't say the word sensational anymore. She said I need to find some synonyms, and I will, but not yet. He doesn't need to be sensational. He needs to hit 250 with little to no pop, and just field your position. And it's now second base. You don't need to go over there and be Robinson Cano defensively. No. Field your position. I thought he did fine today. I know they took the error away that he didn't make. So, yeah,
that was interesting.
We had good picks, by the way, with Profit X.
We nailed it. Yeah, I mean the home run. I didn't get a chance to put anything in because Peraza didn't play.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
you do that all the time. That's a curse. Every time you pick someone at a home run, they don't play. You pick Jason Dominguez. That's 2 games in a row. But we also picked the under that hit.
Yes. The under 1 through 5 innings with Yankees baseball just feels like a lot.
Which is weird because we score more runs than anybody in the AL East by far.
But they score a lot of those runs. They beat up on bullpens.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Or they beat up on the third time through the order.
Well, we did that against San Diego.
And they did that against Emerson Hancock. I'm so proud of myself for remembering that guy's name. But, yeah.
That name was already gone for me.
Yeah, Emerson Hancock, 7 earned runs. He was dominant. And then that inning, they just destroyed him. And that's when I realized I like Justin Shackle. It was like, Emerson Hancock is getting handed.
honestly, good. So who do we have pitching tomorrow, by the way?
Not tomorrow.
Yeah. Not tomorrow. but the following day, because obviously that's with the Mets on Friday.
Yeah, so
that's Rodon, correct?
Yes, Rodon versus Tyler McGill.
Okay, so McGill's off to a hot start.
Very hot start. Good strikeout pitcher.
Yeah, this game should be close regardless. It just should.
Yes.
The question is Rodon going to maintain his composure? He's probably going to give up a home run at some point in this game, and it's going to matter. But what comes after that is what's important. So what do you think about this? Because, I mean, I'm definitely not picking against Rodon given what he's done.
No.
What say you?
I love the under again. I will say that.
I also like the under. Yeah. So let's go ahead and do innings 1 through 5, right? Or just overall under. Up to you.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, since we don't have anything to show, since it's for Friday, I'm not going to put up the thing. So, yeah, I'm going to say, Gary, I like the under 1 through 5.
Okay.
Innings 1 through 5, guys. So that, keep in mind, that also means, for you guys that are wondering what that does mean, after the bottom of the 5th, once you go into the 6th, it's locked in. Mm-hmm. And we know that because we've had some of those wins because we went with the over the 1 through 5, and it showed up at the very end of the bottom of the 5th. But, yeah, I like the under. Tyler McGill has one start against the Yankees. Guess what year that was? This is wild.
Is it 2019?
2021.
That was close. That's not bad.
Yeah, he got the win. He gave up 1 home run, 2 earned runs, 4 hits, 7 innings pitched, 10 strikeouts. So that was that. The Mets won 10-3 against Jordan Montgomery. So that was the last time McGill saw the Yankees, and Rodon's dominated the Mets in only 2 outings. One with the Giants.
2021?
2021.
Dude, that's a long time ago. That's like when Doja Cat was popular. That's a long time ago. So
I know.
I guess we won't use that outing at all as any indication because it probably means nothing.
It's an outlier.
But it just kind of goes. It really goes to show he doesn't have any work against us, which is odd. So I mean, we don't play the Mets often. We don't play the National League often. So I don't know. I tend to think that that's an advantage for the pitcher when guys haven't seen you, and it bodes well for the under here. It's probably going to be a pitcher's duel. I did see in the chat, Yankees for the win says he's going to give up 2 homers. I don't maybe agree that he's going to give up 2 jacks. I mean, it certainly can happen, right? But he's probably going to give up hard contact at some point. Most pitchers in this game do, regardless of how they pitch. But what comes next after that? You're in a big game now. This is the first big game for Carlos Rodon. There hasn't been a big game yet this season. And I'm not saying to minimize anything he's done this year because he's been great. But this Mets series is going to feel like a playoff game at the stadium. I promise you. The return of Juan Soto. You've got Lindor. You've got Alonso. Obviously,
they always do.
Holmes, they're going to feel like postseason games. So it'll be interesting to see how he rebounds from getting punched in the mouth. I'm going to assume he'll be okay. I think the Yankees win this first game. I think games 1 and 3, the Yankees should have some success. It's game 2 I'm worried about. So I'm taking the under. I agree on that completely. And then what else are we taking?
So the under on the first 5 innings.
Okay.
And then I'll take the... That's interesting. I'm not going to take the money line because I could see it going either way. Mm-hmm. I'll take Pete Alonso over 1.5 total bases.
Okay.
He's nuked the Yankees. Pretty much everyone on the Mets has except for Brandon Nimmo. He just can't hit against the Yankees. He's horrendous. Brett Beatty is really interesting, by the way. I feel like he goes yard against Rodon because I do think he'll give up a home run. But then on the Yankees side of it, because that's the thing is like you don't really have the pitchers, but you can have like Yankees hitters versus, the Mets. And it kind of gives you an idea like, okay, it's silly, but for whatever reason, there's kind of like a consistency there for whatever reason. Yeah, it's not great, but do you know who is very good against the Mets?
No, I have no idea.
Austin Wells. He's hitting 400 with over 1,000 OPS.
And how many at-bats?
That, let's see, 12 at-bats, so very limited.
Yeah. So he has like 4 hits. But,
So,
I mean, I don't
Judge
I
is
don't
hitting
really get into it.
444.
Judge is basically hitting 444 this season. So,
I know.
I mean,
well, Judge is hot.
Come on.
Judge plays well against the Mets. Yeah, I'll say Pete Alonso, Aaron Judge, total bases over on the 1.5. And I'm going to say, I kind of want to get Paul Goldschmidt involved here. I'm going to say Goldschmidt goes yard again. That's going to be my dinger for the road.
okay. Well, I think I'm going to call 2 players to hit a home run.
Oh, wow.
So I do think that Jason Dominguez is going to hit a homer.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the Yankees are going to win this game.
I like
But
that.
I think Juan Soto is going to go deep in this game in a loss for the Mets. I do. I think this is going to be a big moment. It's going to be tense. It's going to be very intense. There are going to
He
be
does
fans.
not want to play at Yankee Stadium. I don't care what anyone says. He does not want to go there.
Well, nobody wants to. LeBron didn't want to go back to Cleveland either. But and obviously Juan Soto is not LeBron of his sport. It's baseball. But I guess the point is when you leave a team and there's an ugly, ugly divorce, it's going to be tense. I'm sure Juan Soto plays well under pressure. We've seen him play in October, and not just for us. I mean, we saw it in Washington. He was 20 years old, hitting big homers off of Justin Verlander. He's not going to shy away from any moment. This is going to be a big moment. Probably one of the biggest games, biggest series that any 2 teams are going to play. This is like Dodgers, Padres. This is our Yankees, Mets. And then obviously the Yankees have bigger fish to fry. What we care about is October. And we're going to forget about this a few weeks after this. But in the moment, it's going to feel like a huge game. I think Juan Soto is going to hit a bomb. I think Jason Dominguez is going to hit a bomb. And we said earlier that Rodon's going to give up a homer. I think it's going to be to Juan Soto. But the Yankees, I think, take game 1. So I personally would take the money line. I take Soto's homer, and I take the under through 5 innings.
I like it. I'll probably follow you on that. I'll go Soto and Beatty, and then I'll go Goldschmidt and Dominguez, and then I'll do.
It's a lot of homers.
Yeah. I think both teams are going to get to bullpens. That's what I think is going to happen. Which every series it felt like the Mets against the Yankees, with the last 2 years, the Mets have dominated.
We have the day off. That's okay.
The Mets have gotten to the Yankees bullpen. And Garrett Cole, but, you know.
Well, Garrett Cole doesn't pitch. He doesn't pitch well against any of our rivals. Boston, he's the worst you've ever seen. He's not even a good pitcher against the Red Sox. So, not good against Houston. None of it.
Max Fried doesn't follow that because they're going to need him in those series. But anyway, looking forward to that. And also be sure to, if you want to check out Profit X and you want to get involved on these plays when they do, of course, come up, because as of right now, the game doesn't happen until Friday, so it's not up yet. But if you want to get involved, use code YANKSU. It lets them know that we sent you. And yeah, that's all I got, Gary. Haven't forgot about Mr. 3000, so that'll be the comment to drop in the comment section below. But do you have anything else to add?
No, just like the video.
Sounds good. All right. Later, folks.